As the title and the thumbnail depict on this video, I have a very sad and depressing video to show you today on Project Beatrix. I have just come back from a week off in Kent with my good friend Rob and his family, and well, it was a great week. Fantastic, lots of cars, spending time with friends. That's what it's about, and having a break away from cars, working on them at least for a little bit. And it turns out that my week off has ended with rather a somber note as I return. What I will say is that the car that I took to Kent, which some of you may have thought was the Focus, nah, it was Ruby. I managed to take Ruby on a massive drive all the way to Kent, 360 mile round trip. Fantastic, didn't miss a beat. What was I worried about? That car runs perfectly fine, and even the blue smoke seems to have subsided a fraction, but that's still a job to be done on that car through the winter. However, when I got back today to find Project Beatrix parked in this famous spot of mine, I report a catastrophe. Yeah. A tile has fallen off the top of the roof straight onto the car. And that has wrecked the headlining again. Doesn't seem to be that bad, but it's gone a little bit at the back. Yep. And you can see the puncture of which I've been trying to shut. It was worse than that, I can assure you. It has also broken the brace bar from the roof, but it doesn't matter. Most of the roof is still there. It's a very flimsy piece of metal roof, and that's the damage it's caused. Oh, bummer. There is no getting around from this. This tile down here has caused devastation. It was just sitting here. I just came around the car and I saw this tile sitting there. That. I don't know what to say, to be honest. I'm quite devastated myself. This car has been a fantastic worker for me, and it needs to be a worker because I need a daily car at the moment. And after all the work I put in to recommission the car, and it was never going to be Concourse, it was never going to be that. She was never going to be that level. I never wanted her to be that level. I have too many other cars like this. But now this has happened. I was kind of thinking, well, got a few things that I've got to come to. First of all, that windscreen. I was imminently going to get this done. I was actually on the way back driving Ruby. I was thinking I need to get that windscreen sorted in the next month. Not going to bother. Those tyres, these tyres are all about 8-9 years old. Plenty of tread. Actually, not much cracking, to be honest with you. No bulges, nothing dangerous, but it's 9-year-old tyres. They need to be changed next year. Drive plate that I was hoping to change out because it's annoying, but it works. The headlining is starting to sag just above my driver's head, well, my head, just fractionally. You know where I'm going with this. This has killed this car. There's nothing you can do with damaged pieces like this. There's just nothing you can do with it. I'll just come around here. I'll drop the headlining down. It doesn't look bad from this side. Bit of a hump where I've just pushed it through, and it's unfortunately the metal is creased. You cannot make that look good. The only way of doing it is having a body shop, cut it out, weld it back on, paint and all. It's not just that, it's starting to creep up with this car in a few areas. I was actually planning to do a few things on this car just to make sure that she remains reliable enough. And now it looks like, well, I'm probably thinking about whittling this car down to the very end of its life. I always thought that this was the elephant in the room with Beatrix, because I can't have 3 cars that I'm preserving. There has to be a fall guy. And sadly, Beatrix has got to be the one. Obviously, it's not going to be Ruby, and it's not going to be the Focus. That is a disappointing thing for a lot of Rover people that have been watching me. But the reality is, with Rover 45s, I've got a couple of options open to me. Number one, compensation. I'm sure some of you are saying, why don't you get your landlord to pay for it? Well, the landlord is coming to sort that roof out. I've told him about this. He was going to sort the fascias out, and now he's sorting the roof out. So all these are going to have to be moved anyway, because they're going to be scaffolds here for a little bit anyway. But they're going to look at the roof now after this has happened. It was quite sincere, but as I say, I didn't hint in the conversation about compensation or anything like that, because you and I know the way the world works. Unless they're a lovely person, which most people generally aren't, sorry about that, I just, that's the way I feel at the moment. They will say, go for the insurance, and that's what I've got to do. So I've got to go for the insurance, haven't I? And they'll write it off. So I can't go through the insurance. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to repair it. I'm going to seal that back up. I've got some sealant that I could use to just stop water getting in. The main thing is stopping water getting in. Tidy this up a little bit, but I'm afraid it is plain for all to see on Beatrix that's happened. Martin, I believe there was an Allegro that got scrapped that gave your Allegro a donor engine because something fell on the roof from quite a height. Roofs kill cars. This is a saying. But the best thing is, I was going to take the Focus down to Kent and leave Ruby here and Beatrix here. Ruby has been sitting here through torrential winds, and this has never happened in this house before, and the landlord's done up the roof and everything. Turns out he must have missed one or two, and it's an old house. I always thought this would be a risk, but it's never happened, and I've never had cause for concern. Unfortunately, this famous spot of mine is going to be Beatrix's spot from now on. Ruby's going to sit right in the middle. When she eventually gets swapped and put in the garage, the Focus will be back in the middle. But my God, this is a danger spot until this is sorted. Beatrix is going to have to remain here. There are a lot of things going through my head at the moment, but I'm sure you know what sort of place I'm in. I'm sure some of you have been here before. Come back from holiday, find your car's been vandalised, or someone slashed your tyres, or I don't know, something worse. It's gone up in fire and your neighbours have not said anything. Nobody in this house has told me anything, which is what caught me by surprise. I always assumed that if something was amiss, then someone would spot it, but no, I think it was too subtle for people to spot, so fair enough. But where does that leave Beatrix? She runs, she drives, she'd pass an MOT as she is today. The windscreen, would pass the MOT. Tyres would pass the MOT. But I really am looking at this car and thinking, how much money can I put into this car now? Because to repair that is going to have to be an expensive job. And at the moment, even if there was somebody who offered me some help to sort that out, at the moment I don't have the motivation to say, yes, come down and I'll make it worth your while. Beer, money, whatever. But I don't feel that for this car no more, sadly. Not in that way. This car will have to be, I'll just wash it and drive it and use it in the way that I used the Focus many years ago, where I actually spent very little money on that car for a few years where I thought, I'm not going to keep that car either. I've never scrapped a car in my life, but I think Beatrix is going to be the first one, and that's put the knife into it, that has. I mean, what would you do in my situation? I mean, this car is solid. There's no rot on the sills, which is the most expensive part of the car. But to repair that ghastly thing, I'd be embarrassed at showing this at the Pride of Longbridge. Absolutely embarrassed. It's the scruffiest car that I currently own. And I know that some people might be laughing and saying, your scruffy is my mint. Well, it's not mint now. That's not mint. That's horrible. And I have to look at that every single day. I'm going to leave this here because I'm lost for words and I'm too cross. It's no one's fault, just Mother Nature or fate. Take care, guys.